All right, guys, we're dealing with another sad story about the brother Ragu, who was a truck driver. He drove for like a mom and pop company. I'm not really sure how well that company actually maintains their vehicles, or was it just the lack of skills that he had? But apparently he was on Interstate 70 in Colorado, and his brakes was failing. You know how trucks, your vehicle could be so heavy, it could be up to 80,000 pounds. So you never know, like he could have been jabbing on them brakes and then they could have started overheating. But whatever the case was, it was brake failure. He passed some on ramps that he could have went on, some runaway ramps, but he didn't get on them, which is another thing that's questionable about the case is why didn't he go on the runaway ramps if, you know, he had access to them, but he chose to keep driving or whatever. Because sometimes when you're a truck driver, you could be in a rush trying to hurry up and get your load done to get home, depending on if you staying out over the road or if you're a local driver. You know, it always could be a rush being a truck driver. But as a truck driver, you just got to slow down and take your time. And sometimes you got to bail out. And the thing about going on the runaway ramps that a lot of truck drivers don't want to do is it actually costs your company a lot of money. And sometimes it could lead to termination of your job, or, you know, because it costs the company a lot of money to go on them ramps. So he just kept going. I'm not sure if his brakes overheated. And because once your brakes overheat, I don't know if you ever been next to a truck on these mountain roads, their brakes start smoking. Some of them I actually seen catch on fire. And in the United States, especially out west, we got a lot of mountains and hard, heavy hidden mountains for trucks to climb over and climb back down. Even coming out of Pennsylvania as well, going into Ohio, there's some pretty steep mountains and they got runaway ramps and everything like that. So anyway, this guy, for whatever reason, he claimed brake failure. However, them brakes failed. And he wound up killing 4 people once he hit the bottom. And on top of that, there was several other people that was injured. Now, this happened back in 2019, so this is a minute ago. However, he's just being sentenced not too long ago, sometime last week. So the judge is giving this guy 110 years. That's a really long time, 110 years. Now, I think they got really upset because he didn't take the plea agreement, which I believe could have been 10 years. And maybe he could have got out in 5 years with good behavior and then served another 5 years of probation or parole, however that would work. But since he didn't take the plea agreement and he tried to fight it because in Ragu's eyes, he was innocent. Like he didn't purposely kill anybody. So I understand the reason why he fought it. I'm not sure if he was advised by his attorney. Maybe he should just take the agreement or whatever, but maybe he feel like he didn't because in his mind and his heart as well, he felt completely innocent where, you know, it's sad that the families died and people was deceased due to brake failure, but he felt like he could just beat the charges and he wasn't a murderer and he didn't do it on purpose. So I understand that. But anyway, he got 110 years because he wound up losing the case. Now, people are signing petitions. I think like over 3.5 million people signed for a petition for him to actually not serve that amount of time that he got. But we'll see how that work out.
For those who drive the big rigs, what happened in Colorado this week is startling. 110 years in prison for Rogelio Aguilera Mederos in the fiery 2019 crash that occurred after losing his brakes.
It's unbelievable, honestly, because it could happen anytime, anywhere. And if the brakes fail, the brakes fail. It's a malfunction.
4 people were killed. The truck driver convicted of vehicular homicide, assault, and recklessness, bypassing a runaway truck ramp and swerving into stopped traffic on I-70.
I'm begging for forgiveness.
His attorney told CBS 4 there will be an appeal. An online petition on Change.org has around 2 million signatures now calling for clemency or commutation of the sentence. The governor addressed that.
We review all clemency applications. We've yet to receive one from the individual.
Some, but not all, the victims of the crash settled lawsuits against the trucking company involved, but it has since gone out of business. The truck driver now left to bear the brunt of what happened.
So 3.5 million people signed for a petition for him not to serve that amount of time and maybe have a retrial. The families was up there crying and saying how devastated they are to lose family members that Raghu incidentally took their life away due to the accident that he was in. So families are crying, and I don't really know how much is going to change. You always can appeal whatever decision is made. I mean, that's the great law we have in the United States. So it's going to be appealed, and it's probably going to be retrial. I highly doubt this guy in the end is going to do 110 years. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we literally seen people try to attempted robbery. People tried robbing banks and killed people while doing it, and they got less time. I mean, we literally seen people that purposely murdered people, especially in these cities. Like we seen Pookie and Ray Ray shoot up people, and they did it purposely, and they got less time than 110 years. 110 years is a ridiculous amount of time, especially for a young brother like him, where he was just trying to work and take care of his family. However, he made a bad decision, and it was very incidental. It was not done on purpose, in my personal opinion. I highly doubt this guy was a mass murderer who purposely ran his semi straight into all these vehicles and killed 4 people and injured several people. I just don't see that to be, I think anybody who think that is thinking from a fictional mind. But like I said, we literally seen people actually go out and commit murder purposely and murdered several people and get out in less than 30 years. You know what I mean? Or, sometimes people get out in like 10 years that actually committed murder purposely. So I really don't think this guy should do this much time. I mean, 110 years, the guy was devastated. I mean, Raghu was up there crying like, he can't do 110 years. And then the judge just said, well, just do as much as you can. So I guess the judge think he's going to live like a tree, or the judge think he's a tortoise who's going to live for 300 or 200 years. But humans, we just don't live to be 110 years old, and the brother's already 110 years old. It's completely ridiculous. Now, it was another case years back when a guy was like committing like Grand Theft Auto, and he was just stealing people's cars, and I think he stole a car with a baby in it, and then he like ran by and almost hit a police officer that was on foot, all kinds of craziness. And guess how much time he got? He got 160 years. Now, that could have been justified because he actually laughed about it once he got put to jail. But I seen people do worse stuff purposely than what Raghu did and get less time. So I don't agree that is a fair sentence. Do you think it's a fair sentence? Let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, trust me, I don't know how many of you guys ever traveled around the country and actually went on some of these giant roads, especially when you're going into California, like Dunder's Path and stuff like that. These mountains can be steep as hell. Like a lot of these mountains around the country, when you really get into traveling, I don't know how many of you guys are in an RV or drove trucks or even drove your car across the country. We got some steep mountains, and imagine how hard it is to actually slow them giant semis down. That's 80,000 pounds plus. You got to be really careful as a truck driver. That's why truck drivers get paid pretty decent for the most part. They should get paid more, to be honest. But anyway, let me know what you think about this. Like my video, share my video, comment on my video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm Nate Savage. This is Savage 5050. I'm out. Peace.